find interesting though is I'm often in the company of amazing women. You know, you two have such a testimony, Tameka.
Thank you.
You're on a journey, Medinah. You know, I feel like there's so many things we could talk about. And no matter what group of women I'm with, the conversation does typically turn to men. And even in conflict sometimes, like when women are mad at each other, they will hurl someone's marital status at them like an
That's
insult.
why he cheating on you.
Or that's why you
horrible.
single. Or that's why you ain't got no man.
I've been
As though
so blessed.
that's an insult, you know,
Yeah.
to say like, oh yeah, I'm still on this journey. Or that's why, you know, why don't you go have some kids? You know, like all these things. It's like, oh, you mean all this freedom and money I get to enjoy and I don't have to spend it on kids? That's an insult, you know?
Yeah.
But it's how people can, I guess, attribute it. And I think some of that is because of attitudes, you know, that you have, attitudes that I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
And the way that we all define ourselves by men. Why do you think women will do that? Why will we say something? I've never said anything like that, but I've heard that insult be hurled at people. And I just wonder, why is that an insult?
Horrible.
Because I think that women you do want somebody. If you are a straight woman who dates men, you do want a man. Like at the end of the day, you're like, again, I don't think I've ever said that to anybody. I maybe have said it behind somebody's back, like this is why she don't have nobody. Because sometimes you do take a look at somebody and be like, sis.
But you're saying, why is that the insult? This is why. Why is it not like, well, maybe that's why she's not happy, or maybe she's still working through some trauma. Like, you know, it's not necessarily grace, but it's like you don't have this thing that you place such great value on.
Which we're saying the man is the value.
Yeah, I think a lot of women treat it like that, you know, and I think that's the only reason you would say that as an insult is because you think this is a thing to get. And I think a lot of people treat relationships and marriage like it's a sorority they're trying to pledge. And it's like, haha, you didn't get here. And I don't know. I just feel like sometimes single people can romanticize marriage. Tameka, you probably get a lot of this because she's already saying you think that marriage is great.
I don't think I've ever treated it like that.
I was married to two great guys, and they were
the Enigma and who else?
An enigma, child. Enigma, the whole enigma.
Oh, tell us about that enigma.
Yeah. Child. I had two great husbands, so you know we just weren't compatible, you know, in a lot of ways. But I have no complaints about the guys. You know, I wouldn't say they both, oh, those are dirty dogs. They both were great guys, great fathers, better fathers than husbands, I'd say. And I have nothing against, so I didn't have a bad marital experience. Would I do it again? Just, I don't think it's necessary. You know what I mean? Because I think you only want it because you haven't had it.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you're going to be like, these are just regular old crackers.
Yeah.
The regular old what?
Crackers.
It's a
enigmas and crackers. That's what we talking about today.
I think that when I get it, I will be very happy. But to talk about us using this as an insult, I've never used it as an insult.
Yeah, no.
But I will say I had a situation the other day where a friend of mine was talking about a friend of hers who was married and has kids. And she was like, every time she comes around, she's always saying we and including her husband and everything and always talking about her kids. And sometimes I think that single people, and I am still a single person, have this way of you're making this a negative message when that's not even what the person is trying to make it. It's okay if we're sitting here talking about it's okay to be proud of your man and be happy about that and want to talk about him. And now because you come around your single friends and you want the person to still be that single person and you are no longer that single person because a change happens if you're trying to be better. A change happens when you become a wife. A change happens when you become a mother.
It should. A change should.
A lot of times we don't want you talking about it. We feel sorry for you because we know he ain't shit. But
but see, and then sometimes it's like, well, you don't know my man. That might have been your man, but that's not my man. And so now you got this battle going that shouldn't even really be happening. And it's like, sometimes I feel like the single people take it as an insult just because you're talking or happy about your relationship.
Yeah,
and that's not fair.
Yeah, that's not good either.
It could be hateful.
It's like now because you're single and miserable and I have moved on, we got to sit here and talk about single and being miserable. I can't uplift you. Now you mad because I'm happy.
Yeah. I want for the folks out there watching and listening, are you happy?
Are you happy?
When you were single and not in relationship? And have you ever hurled this kind of insult at somebody? I think that's interesting to hear from people. How many people will be honest about sharing something like that? But I do think if you desire love, the best way is to become love. Because then you're just giving it out. And so if you become love, you're never throwing out that as an insult.
That's a mean insult.
That's right.
That's
but any insult, like if you become love, then you will attract love.
And you'll see it differently.
Love.
And you give different types of grace. Like I told my girlfriend that was doing that, I was like, have you ever just thought that maybe she's really happy to have found her person? I look at like you finding your life partner as that's a gift. Like that's one of the most, if not the most important, after the relationship with yourself, the most, and with God, the most important relationship that you could have. It's a business decision. It could ruin your life. There's a lot of things that are in place here. If somebody's proud of that and they think they made a good choice, let them bask in it.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
True.
And you sitting over here stop talking about him.
Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
She's a hater.
Yeah.
She's hating on you.
Yeah. Celebrate love. Become love, give love, celebrate love. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about like how we define ourselves without partnership. So I am not in a partnership. I'm not married to anybody. And I have to say this journey was hard earned, this journey home to myself that I'm still on. But I feel like I'm enough. I do desire partnership, and that is a hard balance to strike, but I am happy. I enjoy my own company. I can keep my own company. I like to read. I like to write. I like to walk. Like I am defined by the friendships I have with men and women. I'm defined by how I treat my family, my mother, my sisters. Sitting here with you all, I often say, I love men. And I steal this from Beyonce. But there is nothing like a conversation with a woman who understands me.
Yes.
That's something a man can't give me. He just can't. There's something magical that happens. So I do, and I date, I go out, and Are
you exuding that you want men, though?
Yes. And I was going to say, it is an interesting thing that happens when you radiate happiness from inside. Because then men, to me, they swarm around you. Right. They gravitate because you're not thirsty for it. They know they can't give you happiness as a challenge for them.
Right.
And I think when we start doing so much in pursuits of these men, and it's like, I met this guy, I really like him. And I've been this before. So this is no judgment. Like, I'm going to just tell y'all, I have been this before. I met this guy. I really like him. I want to do for him. That's how we are as women. We want to share. We want to love you. I want to do for you. And I had all these obligations, but I'll adjust my schedule for you because I want to accommodate you.
That's right.
And you're not feeling well. Like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take care of you.
Right.
What I have discovered is that some men will not receive that, or they'll receive that and think, I must be pretty amazing. They don't think you're amazing. They think They're must amazing. Be pretty amazing.
Or they get scared, like, oh God, she's trying to get married. She's trying to
maybe whatever it is. But fast. I know my friend Jamel always says this: if it's one thing an enigma will find, it's the audacity. Okay, and they find the audacity to say, "I'm amazing."
Yeah. One thing about them enigmas, they do love themselves for real.
Exactly.
For real.
Exactly.
The enigmas love themselves.
When you prioritize yourself, and it's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better," or "Oh, I would love to see you today, but I already made plans." Then they think you're amazing. You're so amazing that your whole world doesn't center around me. So my life has changed drastically since harnessing that happiness for myself. So I'll start with you, Medinah, because I know that you really want partnership. What defines you as an amazing woman, independent of being attached to somebody?
I'm not even going to bring up an enigma because
okay.
It's not even needed right now. I'm so happy that you asked that question because I used to not have an answer for that question. I used to always be one of those people where it's like, I don't really know. Like, I used to hate the what do you bring to the table question. I still hate it. But what I have realized about myself that brings value to just a room or people in general, I host a travel group. It's called Paradise and Vibe. And on that trip, I'm basically bringing tons of women and a couple of enigmas together to just celebrate health and all wellness and all of the angles. And I bring a level of joy and comfort to people. It doesn't matter how many followers I got on Instagram. It don't matter who I know. It doesn't matter where I'm from. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. I try to go in rooms and not really talk about what I do, or material things. I hate that. Even when I was dating and would go on dates with people, that you talk too much about like your career, everything else. But what's about you? What's inside? I really lead with that. When I meet somebody, I don't give about what you do for a living. Yeah. Who are you? And I treat my relationships like that. I treat myself like that. I treat my family like that. I treat friends like that. I come into a room and I make you feel like home. And that's important to me.
I love that.